If you're over 70 and someone's brought up the idea of marriage again, maybe even you've been thinking about it quietly in your heart, then this is something you really need to hear. I know it's not an easy topic. Sometimes, people assume that once you hit a certain age, your life is supposed to slow down, and your choices don't matter as much anymore. But the truth is, your choices now matter more than ever, especially when it comes to love, companionship, and protecting what you've built. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below. And if you have any natural health tips of your own, feel free to share those too. Someone else might really benefit from hearing what's worked for you. Point 1. What you've built deserves protection. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when people over 70 start thinking about getting married again: money. Now I know, it might feel a little awkward. Nobody wants to talk about money when they're thinking about love or companionship. But if you've spent your whole life working hard, saving bit by bit, and finally reaching a point where you can breathe without financial stress, this part matters a lot. When you remarry, even if your intentions are simple and pure, your financial situation becomes legally tied to someone else. It's not just about splitting dinner bills or vacations. It's about your savings, your home, your retirement income, and even your government benefits. Many seniors don't realize that getting remarried can reduce or completely cancel their Social Security survivor benefits. You could be depending on a monthly check from a spouse you lost years ago, and all of that can disappear once you sign that marriage certificate. And that's not all. Let's say the person you're marrying has debt, maybe credit cards, maybe unpaid medical bills. Maybe they've been helping their adult kids with money. The minute you're legally married, you might be pulled into their financial world. Not because they're trying to take advantage of you, but because that's just how the system works. In many cases, your assets could be used to cover their obligations. And what about your own children or grandchildren? Maybe you've spent decades planning to leave something behind for them. A house, a bank account, a little cushion for their future. Without proper planning, like a clear will, or a legal agreement, your new spouse could end up with control over everything. And even if they promise to do the right thing, families change, people change, and promises don't always hold up the way we hope. You deserve to live these years without worry, not secretly wondering if your money will run out, or if you'll have to explain uncomfortable decisions to your children. So before you say yes to remarriage, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this going to protect what I've built? Or put it at risk? It's not about not trusting the other person. It's about trusting yourself enough to be wise. Point 2. Are you ready to be a caregiver again? Let's talk about something that's not as obvious in the beginning: health responsibilities. When we're younger, taking care of someone can feel manageable. You've got more energy, more strength, and more time to juggle the needs of others. But once you're in your 70s, that energy doesn't stretch the same way it used to. And when you remarry at this stage, you're not just gaining a partner, you might be signing up to care for someone who's already facing serious health challenges. Here's the truth: most people in their 70s are already managing their own health. Maybe it's arthritis, high blood pressure, diabetes, or just the fatigue that comes with age. You're going to doctor appointments, watching your diet, maybe taking medications every day. That's already a full-time job in itself. Now imagine adding someone else's health issues on top of your own. Let's say your new spouse starts forgetting to take their pills. Or they suddenly need help getting dressed, bathing, or getting to their appointments. At first, it might feel like something small, just a little help here and there. But over time, those small things become daily caregiving tasks, and before you know it, you're back in a role that can be both emotionally and physically exhausting. And here's the part nobody talks about: when you become someone else's caregiver, it often means you stop taking care of yourself. You skip your own appointments. You eat less, sleep less, and socialize less. Slowly, your own health starts slipping, not because you don't care, but because you're stretched too thin. The weight of caregiving is real, and it doesn't get lighter just because you love someone. There's also the emotional toll. You may begin to feel trapped, overwhelmed, or even guilty, like you're not doing enough. But that pressure builds quietly, and it can take away your joy and peace of mind. Before you say yes to remarriage, ask yourself a serious question. If this person needed daily help with their health tomorrow, could I realistically take that on, every day, without hurting myself in the process? There's no shame in saying no. There's only wisdom in knowing your own limits. Point 3. When marriage changes more than you realize. Now let's talk about something most people don't think about until it's too late, the legal side of remarriage. You might think it's just about joining hearts and sharing your life, but the law sees it very differently. Once you say, "I do," again, you're not just committing emotionally, you're also signing up for a legal contract that can affect everything from your will to your medical decisions. One of the biggest surprises for many older adults is how remarriage can affect inheritance. You may already have a will in place. You may have worked for decades to make sure your children or grandchildren are taken care of after you're gone. But once you remarry, the law may give your new spouse certain rights, no matter what your old will says. In many states, a surviving spouse is legally entitled to a share of your estate. That means your kids might get less than you planned. Or in some cases, they might have to fight in court to get what you wanted them to have. And it doesn't stop there. If you're receiving Social Security survivor benefits from a late spouse, remarriage can cause those benefits to stop. That's income you might be relying on to pay bills, buy groceries, or cover your medications. Many people lose those checks without warning, and once it happens, there's no going back. There's also the issue of medical decisions. If you become seriously ill or unable to speak for yourself, your new spouse will likely have legal authority over your healthcare decisions, even if your adult children know your wishes better. And if your children and your new spouse don't get along, that can create real heartbreak and conflict at the worst possible time. I met a woman once who remarried at 81. When she got sick, her daughter wanted to follow her mother's wishes. But the new husband had the legal say. The daughter ended up in court, spending money and time just to try to honor her mom's voice. It was a situation nobody wanted, but the law doesn't care about intentions, only documents and signatures. Before you get married again, sit down with a trusted lawyer and ask the hard questions. Make sure your wishes are protected. Because once you're gone, it's too late to fix a legal mess. Point 4. What are you willing to give up? Let's be honest. One of the biggest gifts of getting older, something many of us had to wait a lifetime for, is freedom. The freedom to spend your day the way you want. To eat what you like, sleep when you want, keep the house how you like it, and make decisions without having to check in with anyone. That's not selfish, that's earned. But here's something not many people say out loud: remarriage can quietly take that freedom away. Not all at once, but bit by bit. In your younger years, relationships are built around compromise. That's expected. You're raising kids, building a home, juggling careers. You give and take. But by the time you're in your 70s, you've already done all that. You've figured out what brings you peace, what helps you sleep well, what routines work for your body and mind. You've earned the right to live your way, without constant adjusting. Now imagine sharing your space with someone new. Maybe they leave the TV on all day while you enjoy silence. Maybe they want big meals and full dinners while you're content with a bowl of soup. Or maybe they have family visiting all the time, while you prefer your quiet afternoons. These aren't small things. These are the daily comforts that make life feel stable, and giving them up, even a little, can feel frustrating or even overwhelming. What's more, when you're in a relationship, there's emotional labor involved. You listen, you reassure, you explain. You consider someone else's feelings before making your own plans. And while that's not bad in itself, it does take energy you might not want to spend anymore. I once spoke with a widow named Florence. She remarried at 76. At first, she enjoyed the company. But a few months in, she told me, I didn't realize how much I missed just being able to wake up, sip my coffee in silence, and go for a walk without checking in. It wasn't that she didn't care about her new husband, she just missed her peace. Before you get married again, ask yourself a simple but important question: am I willing to share my time, space, and routines again, every day, with another person? If your gut hesitates even a little, listen to that. Because in your 70s and beyond, peace is more than a luxury, it's your right. Point 5. When their money problems become yours. Let's talk about something many people don't see coming until it's too late: financial entanglement. This one goes deeper than just losing benefits or sharing a bank account. It's about how remarriage can quietly tie you to someone else's financial history, habits, and baggage, for better or worse. When you're in your 70s, you're not building a financial future the way you did in your 30s or 40s. You're protecting what you've earned: your home, your savings, your social security, your peace of mind. That protection is your safety net. But remarriage, without careful planning, can unravel that net faster than you expect. Let's say the person you're marrying has adult children. Maybe they ask for help paying rent, or need money for school, or expect financial gifts. If your spouse agrees, guess what? That money might come from the same pool you're now sharing. What if your spouse carries credit card debt or has medical bills from years back? Those responsibilities don't just stay on their side of the fence once you're legally married. They can spill over into your retirement, your accounts, your future. And what about decision-making? Maybe you're careful with money. You like to budget, keep things simple, and avoid risk. But what if your new partner spends freely, or believes in lending money to friends or relatives, no questions asked? That kind of difference can create stress, conflict, and a slow erosion of the life you've worked so hard to build. I met a man named Gerald, 82, who remarried after being widowed for several years. He didn't think much about finances, he just wanted company. But within 2 years, he was paying off his new wife's back taxes, covering bills for her grown son, and had to sell a vacation home he'd planned to leave to his daughter. I thought we'd just enjoy our time, he said. But I ended up using up everything I had saved. Here's the bottom line: remarriage in later life needs clear, written financial agreements. Not because you don't love or trust each other, but because your legacy and security matter. So before you say yes, ask yourself, do I truly understand how our finances will work together? Do I have protections in place for my family, my assets, and my future? Because at this stage of life, there's no shame in being cautious, there's only wisdom in protecting what's yours. By the time we reach our 70s and beyond, we've earned something that no amount of money or romance can replace: clarity. We've lived through seasons of giving, sacrificing, adjusting, and starting over. We've raised families, lost loved ones, built homes, and endured things that most people can't even imagine. So when someone brings up remarriage, it's not just a sweet idea anymore, it's a serious decision with real consequences. Yes, companionship matters. No one wants to feel alone. Wanting someone to talk to, eat dinner with, or hold your hand at the end of the day, that's not weakness, it's human. But the truth is, partnership doesn't always mean peace. And marriage isn't the only path to connection, warmth, and love. You can have close friendships, strong bonds with family, a loving community around you, and still protect your space, your energy, and your independence. Some people remarry and it works out beautifully. But many others, quietly and privately, later say, I wish I had waited. I wish I had thought it through. If you've made it to this point in life with your mind clear, your bills paid, and your spirit mostly intact, that's no small thing. Don't trade it in because of pressure, loneliness, or fear of being alone. You are not a half waiting to be completed. You're a whole person, one who has already proven your strength, your worth, and your wisdom. So before you say, I do, again, pause and ask yourself. Am I doing this out of joy, or out of fear? Does this add to my life, or does it quietly take something away? Is this love, or is it an emotional bandage I'll later regret? It's okay to want love. But more than that, you deserve peace. You deserve the kind of life that doesn't make you start over, again. You deserve to rest, to enjoy, to choose freely without pressure. You've already earned that. And if something in this video made you think differently, even for a moment, I'd love it if you left a comment below and told me what part spoke to you the most. Your story might just help someone else who's quietly facing the same decision. And if this message brought you clarity, consider sharing it with a friend. You never know who might need to hear this too. Thank you for spending your time here with me. You matter. Your peace matters. And your choices still shape the best part of your life, the part you're living right now.